This is Fallout 4. We're here on Xbox Series X taking a look at the next gen update that fixes the next gen update. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So the big next gen update, which got delayed like I think a year and a half or something like that, finally released, and the performance modes were broken for Xbox. Bethesda says that's how they were intended. I said Bethesda was wrong. Bethesda was wrong. Anyways, here we go. We've got 6 different graphical options to jump into. And, yeah, there's quite a lot going on here. So if you're wondering what's happening with the ladies and stuff, I had all these mods on. The mods are now removed. So if you are diving into this update and the performance is terrible for you, you need to cleanse your local saves, so that's what I had to do. I had to delete all my saves and download them from the cloud again, and that removed all of my mods, all of my files, everything like that, and then it fixed the performance of the game, and now it's actually running really quite nicely. So we're gonna go and travel to the part of town where the performance is the worst, which is the downtown Swan and the mutant area around there, and we're going to be diving in and talking about the different visual options and kind of going over everything like that. So for context, we're on the visual settings, so this is kind of like, there's 2 graphical options. There's performance and there's visual. So performance is like, we want to make sure that you are getting the performance. And then visual is like, you want the bells, the whistles, you want the full sort of 4K experience. That's what you go for. And then we'll have to do a separate video, again, kind of going over mods and talking about mods with this particular update. So stay tuned for that in the future. So everything should be dynamic resolution scaling from 4K, but it should be pretty maxed out at the actual 4K level, which is expected considering that's what we got last time. And yeah, let's dive in and take a look at this. With again, this being the visual preset at 60 FPS. So this is the most demanding part of the game, and we'll be switching. So it's not perfect, for sure. It definitely is not. But it's a lot smoother, and it's actually really quite great. So we had a pretty solid update, like I said, a couple weeks back with the proper first release of this update. And now this is the proper update, which is going to be what I imagine is what we're going to experience with the Starfield update. That's going to be getting a very similar treatment. It should be about the same for the 2. So this is a mode that I can actually very easily recommend you play on. The visual preset 4K 60 FPS. It's actually not bad. I mean, if you can't stomach any sort of performance issues, there are a lot of other options that we'll be going over today, but this is actually pretty great. Which is hilarious because, as I had mentioned earlier, when I first loaded this up and I tried multiple different saves that I have with multiple different characters I had, this was like a slideshow. So if this is like a slideshow for you running on the visual 4K preset, do that method I said. Because yeah, there's some dips here or there, but for the most part, this is actually running really quite well, which is awesome and exactly what we sort of hoped for when that original release happened, right? It is a little ridiculous that we had to wait after waiting so long, but it was kind of a quick update between updates, so I would say that that is a pretty good situation for this particular game. Alright, so we've shown off the setting here. We're going to go back to the main menu, and now we're going to showcase the different visual settings and give you an idea of things. So unlike the previous version where you could actually change the settings in the game, not that it worked for Xbox, we now have them all here. I should also mention that Auto HDR has returned. So you switch between visuals and performance, and it does a quick flicker. On PlayStation it seems to do a big load kind of thing for me, but yeah, on Xbox it just flickers. 60 FPS, 40 FPS, 30 FPS. Now, keep in mind, for 40 FPS, you do need to have a screen that supports it. So 120 hertz, 120 FPS screen, that's the only way you get 40 FPS. Because I was sitting there and I was kind of like, well, why do we have the 40 FPS mode? And then I was like, oh yeah, a lot of people still don't have... Well, that's a nice, astoundingly awesome Tales cover. That's actually pretty awesome. Attack of the Fisherman. Like, a lot of people don't have displays that allow you to enjoy the higher level of, well, you know, fluidity that 40 FPS provides. So this is going to be the Performance 60 FPS. This is the mode that you want to play on if you absolutely need 60 FPS. And you might get like some little dips here or there, but it's a pretty good way to go about it. And I think you'll be kind of happy with what this mode has to offer. Because it does actually, you know, keep the quality looking pretty good, but obviously it just really aggressively kind of pushes to make sure you're getting that frame rate. But it's very, very close between the two versions of like performance and visual. Like, it is the bells and the whistles. But like, as I was saying, you're kind of fine just going either or. If you want to make sure performance is smooth, performance mode is the way to go. And as you could tell, it's really almost flawlessly handling the downtown. I'm sure as we get a next-gen console someday, this will be absolutely perfect with all kinds of mods on. But we still have to dream of that sort of thing coming way down the road. But no, this is actually pretty good. This is, I think, even better than what we had last week. Which, as I should say, which you probably don't get the inside of it, but I was literally kind of having a bit of a freak out moment as I was testing this, being like, why is this running so bad? And yeah, it was, I guess, something out of my control or something I didn't expect. So I was a little like, are you kidding me? And now it's kind of like, yeah, this is really good. I mean, I do have the annoyance of having to re-download all of my mods, and finding them and everything, and that's going to take like a half hour on top of all the other work I had to do and redo for this. But, you know, life sucks, what can I say? So we're going to go to visuals, and we're going to go to 40 FPS. So, for context here, the idea of a 40 FPS mode is this gen, last gen, I think a little bit before that yet too, is a priority on visuals in games, because visuals sell games more than frame rates do. Sorry guys, I know, that's just how marketing and everything works. The nicer looking game, the better. So if a game wanted 60 FPS and they couldn't achieve it, they would just drop it down to 30 FPS, right? But in the modern era, we're very, very fortunate that we have these divisible modes, because it's like, again, in very layman's terms, it's a divisible sort of performance level where it evenly kind of sorts out to 120, and it allows you to have something that feels fluid, like it doesn't hit 60, but it feels nice, and it looks good, and it can be a higher, better visual experience. And that's where we have the 40 FPS mode. So this is visual. But, you know, as I was saying, you can basically get an almost fine working, I guess you would say, visual mode doing the 4K 60 with visual or performance. So I don't really necessarily see the need for a 40 FPS mode here, but it's a nice option to have. And it's great that they're giving us more choices as if we're like on PC, which is, you know, kind of cool. Especially if this scales and targets well. So the 40 FPS mode, I think, actually feels pretty good. Feels nice. Looks good. And, yeah, it's just kind of a nice choice if you have that option available where you're kind of like, well, you know, there's too many dips for me at 60 FPS, which I don't know. I guess if you're on Xbox and you have a heavier mod thing going on, this would be a good choice. So, like, I guess if you're like, oh, we're doing heavy wasteland stuff, the 40 FPS mode might actually be a pretty good option for you to make sure that you're actually getting a decent higher level of fluidity, and also are having a game that looks pretty good and can handle your mods. So that's kind of what I see as being potential for here. I didn't know there was actually a market down there. Might have to visit that when I do some more streams of this game. Huh. Definitely very, very interesting. So I would say that this option here is pretty good for the enthusiasts that want a little bit of fluidity in between and also want a good visual setting. So this is a nice mode, I would say, for this type of thing. So obviously with the, 40 FPS quality mode out of the way, that means we now have to switch over and show the performance version of 40 FPS. Again, like, some of it really feeling redundant, but I guess they were mostly kind of looking at it like people are going to be complaining or have been complaining about how we provided things, so now we're giving them overkill, as to say, or a complete overdrive of it, being like, alright, well, you weren't satisfied. Hopefully this satisfies you. And, yeah, bravo Bethesda on doing that. No, seriously, more visual options are always better. And I guess it's good, like, future-proofing, too, in the sense that, like, these modes, like, a future Xbox down the line isn't, like, it's gonna swimmingly, perfectly do these, like, lower modes. But you could take these lower modes as, like, a baseline and more simply kind of bump them up from a technical standpoint in order to make them, well, like, run at higher resolution. Like, you kind of get what I mean. Like, you can use them as a baseline for future updates down the road if they're gonna do, like, quick, lazy upgrades as opposed to, like, really revamping things like we occasionally get. Because I don't know if they would remaster this again down the line or if they just take this as a baseline. But if you're familiar with the FPS boosting tech, essentially what that did was it just took existing options and just changed things. So, like, if the game could not do 4K 60 like Fallout back in the day, you could drop the resolution down to the base Xbox One level that already existed and then run it at 60 FPS. So that was an option that existed for that time. So that's where it's kind of an idea that is a neat concept that again offers some level of future-proofing. But with Bethesda being first party, that's not really something we should ever have to care about, if that makes sense. Like, we should always get proper new versions of their best games because they're first party on Xbox. It would be crazy otherwise. But, the way things are run with Xbox, you kind of get what you kind of get from them. So, it's really, I don't know. Maybe things will be different then. So then we're going to drop down to 30 FPS at the visuals. So for this, I genuinely do not understand the need to have this kind of mode, if that makes sense. Like, it's nice to have, but well, I guess I do understand the need, because a lot of people still don't have the newer TVs. Hopefully, as time continues to go on, more and more people get them. It's a fallback option. But you're basically, you're just going back to, like, I'm sure it's a little bit better, but you're basically going back to, like, the 1X settings of the game. And it doesn't, like, I know it's an RPG and it doesn't matter as much, but it really just does not feel as good to play this game, especially with it being, like, a shooter, to play it at 30 FPS. Like, it was okay at the time, like a decade ago. Again, kind of amazing that we're still into this, like, a decade on, as to say. But you know what I mean. Like, I just really, really don't necessarily get what you get out of doing this mode. But hey, it's here if you want to do it, and here if it's available. Because even with this mode existing, the 60 FPS modes are just so much better. Like, I do really just kind of sit there and I ponder and go, I don't get it. But you know what? As I said, we've been asking for more choices and options from Bethesda, and instead of just getting slapped with a 30 FPS mode as a general thing, they're giving us some choices. So that's kind of good. And I think it's the expectation too, right? You look at the stuff that, like, the PlayStation first party achieves, and they give multiple graphics options, there's no reason Bethesda can't do that. Although Bethesda's doing it for Xbox and PlayStation users. But I digress. It's, it's kind of good that we're getting this option, right? Boom, done. So yeah, nice little 30 FPS mode. And then that means we've got one more FPS mode to showcase, which obviously, not the crew, but is the performance at 30 FPS, which really just complete and utter overkill. I don't know why you would ever need this mode. I just can't see too many situations where the performance level would get that bad, where it's ever like, I just can't handle this one dip. And the dips to the point where you're getting that is just like, I don't know, it's really weird. It's really genuinely weird. But I will say it exists and it is an option for you. So here we go. Performance mode 4K 30 FPS. Although inherently I think the idea of a performance mode is kind of like impacted by like, my character looks so much better with the customization I have going on, I gotta say. It's so weird seeing my character without the mods now. It's so odd. Everyone's been negatively impacted, I will say that. But yeah, it's a very interesting situation, and yeah, I was totally getting off topic, but inherently performance mode being 30 FPS is against the idea of what a performance mode is, because a performance mode is supposed to take you to like a higher frame rate, and a higher frame rate is not 30 FPS unless we're like doing some kind of like the dawn of 3D graphics, basically. Because basically, or I guess if you're doing like ray tracing and stuff, but obviously that's not. Like if we had like ray tracing in that's the thing, is it's just like it is a graphical update, right? Like it's not like they're remastered. It's not like they're really reworking things or changing things, right? Like it is that game from back in the day. It's the same kind of thing. It's just they're making it run a little bit better in that. So we shouldn't be having any sort of like, I guess you would say, problems is what I'm really trying to say. Oh wow. Liberty Prime. On my vanilla save. Well, I did have cheat terminal still installed. Yeah, so I guess I get those from the cheat terminal. That's funny. These are the power armor guys. What are you guys doing? Oh, is that because the Brotherhood's now over here? Oh yeah, I forgot the Brotherhood arrived when I was last doing this. We have them fight the Brotherhood.
German tank will fall. China will fall.
I swear it's vanilla other than the cheat terminal. Just putting it out there. I tried to give you as vanilla experience as I could. Wow, these Brotherhood Knights are actually like doing pretty good against the Liberty Prime. I'm kind of shocked. Like I'm amazed that the Liberty Prime things aren't like vaporizing this. So even in your vanilla, I give you a little bit of fun mod play, but anyways, that was not the point of what I was doing. Alright, so let's quit out of here and go back to the visual setting to kind of display it and talk about the rest of the game. So we're going back up to visual 60. So I guess at the end of it all, the big thing is, I think you can get away with visual 60 FPS. It looks fine, it runs mostly well, maybe little bits here or there. It's good. It looks the best the game looks on console. It runs pretty well. You got VRR, variable refresh rate, should be really clean. Really shouldn't be much of a problem at all. If you absolutely need performance, obviously switching to the performance mode is going to be a good idea. Oh, maybe that's why the Liberty Prime wasn't killing us, because of the vertebrate. Oh, the vertibird. So there you go. Those are your kind of visual options. If you want to have some fun and play around with stuff, yeah, the 40 FPS mode, it exists. I don't know. Whoa. But at the end of the day, You've got choices, you've got options, and I thank Bethesda for that. So let's dive in and let's do a full review of the game for those that maybe are watching this video and haven't played the game before. And I know some of you don't care, so you'll probably tune out at this point, and that's totally fine. But for some people, this may literally be the first time they've ever taken a look at the game. And we talk about this from the perspective of like, hey, you're fresh to Fallout, you've never experienced it before. Now is a great time for you to have fun and enjoy the world. So it's a role-playing game where you get to start out by choosing a male or female character, and that does actually factor into things because you are like a married couple, you have a kid, and the bombs are dropping. And the world is ending, and you go into a vault, and you go into a bit of a sleep, and in a delirious state, you notice that your significant other gets killed, and somebody takes your kid. And then you awaken from your delirious state, and you have to go find your child. What happened to your kid? Where's your kid? You don't know. And you have to go out into the world of Boston, the Commonwealth, a destroyed landscape filled with activities and things to see and places to go and whatever. And you go on a journey to try to find your kid. But like most people, I myself, you get really distracted. And finding your kid is sort of like at the bottom of a list of things for you to actually do. It's more about the journey, the characters you meet, and the interactions you have along the way. Though the places you go and the things you see. But no, that really is the game, is the interactions you meet. Interesting characters like Piper, who usually has clothes, and you know, those interactions really are what make the game so engaging and fun, is just the wild kinds of activities and things that can go on. And with your companions, there might be elements of romance. You might, I don't know, anger them, you might whatever. And then you can find new companions and go on new adventures and see different things. And it's a game I've played like really days worth of time. Every time I come back to it, almost a decade on, there's always something new to see and something new to do and something new I run into and some kind of crazy different adventure I get to have. And I think that's really, really quite magical, and there's not too many games out there that offer such replayability. And I usually play as the male character, and I've been using Nora here because we did a new mod and new save and everything like that, and I was like, all right, we'll give her a chance because I had some recommendations from people. And she's great. Like, her sarcasm is hilarious. And I would highly recommend maybe giving the voice character, the female, a chance if you've never done that before, because I know some people, you do the male over and over again, and then, you might maybe want to mix it up a bit. So that's what I'm trying to tell you, is being like, hey, this is a cool new option that I just discovered because of this last update, because this is the update to the next-gen update of updates. Always another update, am I right? But hopefully this is the last one, because, I mean, yeah, it's in a good state now, and I don't want to have to re-download and reset up all my mods again, because it's driving me crazy. But that's how she goes. So, yeah, it's really, really quite neat. You can do all kinds of crazy things. You have lots of skills and abilities and quests and guns and weapons and tools and abilities and crazy things that go on. Random events, a day-night cycle. There's building in terms of like your settlement. There's always another settlement that needs your help. And then you kind of can do like all this sort of, I guess you would say, like trading between settlements. There's actually quite a lot under the hood of this game. It really is miraculous how large this experience is, the things you can see, the things you can do. And it all starts from Vault 111 and down to the settlement to your own home as you make this, path of a new journey. And it's really, really quite neat because you can like build stuff. And this is where the mods are really cool, is you can like, build up a settlement and a house with furniture and items and different characters and have different people living in your settlement. And like I said, everyone's usually a lot more dressed when the mods are going on, but obviously we've been demodded, am I right? So you deal with what you deal with. and yeah, no, it's really quite a neat adventure, with the days going by, the nights going through, There's different like weathering storms that can happen, all kinds of different twists and turns and changes. There's just a lot to see. You go into different buildings, you meet and run into different characters, and they have different stories and different activities and different quests and different guides and different things for you to accomplish and work through as you explore. And then some of them might have you working on settlements over and over again. Wherever Garvey's at, the guy's always, oh, there's another settlement that needs your help. But it really is something that is massive. And I would highly recommend going beyond that with mods. So mods are very easy to download, very easy to find. I've got some great mod videos on the channel, and I'll have, I'm assuming, some more now that we've got the update of the update coming or out now. So get ready for that. But the idea is that you can download things that like change the immersion or add new quests or really expand the scope of things. For PlayStation users, they don't get the mods like Xbox users do, where it's more limited on that platform due to Sony policies. So we actually get like new content in our mods that can change the way the game looks and runs to a lot higher of a degree, which is really, really quite awesome. And then if you want to not mod things, because mods will get rid of your achievements, there's lots of really good DLC for this game. So Nuka World is like one of my favorite things kind of ever for like DLC. It's one of my favorite DLCs ever. And it's basically like if Disneyland was Coca-Cola and it was kind of dystopian and apocalyptic. And yeah, Nuka World's really, really awesome. Big new story, everything like that. There's Far Harbor, where if you like Nick Valentine, who's a detective in the game and one of the main characters. Got an interview of that up on the channel, just saying, with that voice actor. Pretty cool. You can really enjoy, you know, the magic of that. And then there's a few other little things. So Far Harbor is really cool. It's like a mysterious sort of thing with Nick Valentine. Nuka World's a full Nuka World story. And then you've got a lot of raiders here today. And then you've got some other DLC stuff. Like one of them you can like run a vault, and other ones are more like settlement based. So you get a lot of different choices in regards to how you experience the game outside of just playing the game itself. And like I said, you can have countless experiences of playing this where you come in over and over again and you visit new places, you go out new paths. And the game really is defined by the journey you take and the things you see. You never know what's going to be different. You never know what kind of crazy challenges are going to arise. It's always a fresh, fun experience in the world of Fallout 4. And I'm hoping, and I think I've seen that too, is that new people will check this out for the first time and really fall in love with this game. Because it's a Fallout game, true and true. And through. And it really does kind of unique stuff with the, I don't have ammo, with the world here. And it's just like a crazy adventure, whether you're doing that main story, or if you're just ignoring that main story to have some fun. It's a lot of fun to have. Okay, these guys are such a mod thing. I should save these for like a modded video and just show you straight vanilla, but I think it's kind of funny seeing a bunch of Sentinel Primes. Liberty Prime destroying this thing. They just always remind me of the Sentinels from X-Men, obviously. So Fallout 4 is really, really good. I've seen already that a lot of people that I've chatted with have checked it out for the first time because of this update, and they've really loved what it has to offer. The characters are truly cool. There's so many that you get to meet. There's so many weird adventures you can have, crazy journeys to go on, weird companions to meet, and romance some of them, or just ignore them or get rid of them. And it really is an adventure that just kind of keeps going on and on and on. And then you can do multiple plays and make different decisions and choices that will greatly alter the world in really exciting ways. And I think that in itself is really, really quite awesome. And just an adventure that you can have within this wasteland. And it's like, it's a dead world, sure, but, you know, the fun of Fallout is the dead world that's full of life and weird things and people that survived in different ways. And you kind of meeting them, interacting with them, and creating your own path. So if you haven't yet, wow, good shot. Now is the time to dive in and enjoy the magic that is Fallout 4 with the proper update And hopefully nothing too crazy will change this going forward for now. Huh.